We released 20 episodes in the last 3 months showing over 300 Tesla crash videos. Here are the videos you liked the most. John was driving his Model 3 in Tampa, Florida. While waiting at a traffic light, he heard a loud crunch. He managed to shift into reverse and back up just before another car's front tire landed on his Tesla. John says this particular intersection is infamous for accidents because it's a popular location for speeding and it's hard to see around the corner. The driver of the red car who had caused the accident had no injuries and walked away from the accident. The woman who'd been hit had a head injury and was taken away in an ambulance. John ended up with a small scratch on the front of his Model 3, but he feels lucky because the damage could have been a lot worse. John waited nearby until the police arrived since he was also involved and had video footage. The police were thankful for the evidence. Tristan was driving his Model 3 in Waynesville, Ohio. He was stopped at a red light when the driver of a red Chevy sedan waited to apply the brakes until he was only about 15 feet away from crashing into Tristan at 50 miles per hour. The Tesla's emergency lane assistance system activated and kept him in his lane. Without that, he would have crossed into the oncoming lane and risked getting hit head-on. As Tristan rolled toward the center line, we can see that autopilot engaged and steered the Tesla to the right. Tristan's hands weren't even on the wheel after the impact. Tristan sustained a minor concussion, but the driver of the Chevy fared worse and was taken away in an ambulance. Thankfully, he did survive the crash. The police report indicated that the other driver had been distracted by his cell phone. The damage to the Chevy was extensive, but the damage to the Tesla initially appeared to be only cosmetic. In the end, the repair bill came to $16,000 US. The Chevy driver's insurance provider is picking up the bill, and Tristan has been told that the repairs will take around 4 months to complete since the body shop is so backed up. Dennis was driving his Model 3 in Livermore, California. He's participating in the full self-driving beta, and this will be the first FSD beta crash we've ever shown on our channel. Autopilot was waiting at a red light to make a left turn. When the light turned green, Autopilot paused for a moment before proceeding into the intersection. That's when Dennis saw something in his peripheral vision just before feeling a heavy impact. A Honda truck had run the red light and hit the side of the Tesla. The airbags deployed, and Dennis escaped with nothing more than a sore body, for which he's very thankful to his Tesla. Dennis was able to show the Teslacam video to both the other driver and the police right there at the scene of the accident. The footage clearly shows that Dennis's light had been green for about 6 seconds and that the other driver had run a red light. Interestingly, Autopilot appeared to stop the car right before the impact. Otherwise, the Honda would have hit the Tesla's driver's side door directly instead of the fender. This might have spared Dennis from more serious injuries. An insurance claim has been filed, and the other driver's insurance has assumed full responsibility. The Tesla was totaled, and Dennis will be ordering a Model Y once the insurance provider pays out. Dennis has been a fan of Wham Baam Teslacam for a while, but he wishes he could have continued being a viewer instead of becoming a contributor. And of course, it had to be a Honda bump. George was driving from Redondo Beach, California to Snow Valley Mountain to go skiing with his daughters Adele and Sophie. That's when a car on the other side of the freeway lost control and hit the center divider head-on. The barrier did its job and kept the car from flying into oncoming lanes, but pieces of the car flew across and landed next to the Tesla. George said there was no time to react, and everything happened so fast, his only option was to drive through the storm of sparks and debris. George's daughter Adele said, "Papa, this accident will definitely make it on Wham Baam Teslacam." He says he doesn't remember it being so dramatic, but when they got home and watched the video, his jaw absolutely dropped. It really made them realize how precious life is and how it could be taken away in a split second. Then they prayed that whoever had been in the accident was safe. It was definitely a close call. We searched the news, but we couldn't find any mention of the accident, which hopefully means there were no serious injuries. Ruffy was driving his Model 3 in Mississauga, Canada. He entered an intersection on a green light and got T-boned by a car coming from the left. Both police and paramedics were called to the scene, and the other driver was taken to a hospital but later released. Ruffy later found out the other driver was uninsured and his car had been totaled. The Tesla is currently in a body shop getting inspected to see if it can be repaired or if it's also totaled. This submitter was driving his Model 3 in Toronto, Canada, when the driver of another Tesla in front of him crashed into a boat. Another vehicle that was pulling a boat on a trailer made a quick lane change into the lane where the Tesla was traveling. The Tesla drove up on two wheels before the trailer and the boat smashed into it. The driver of the boat behaved very erratically and kept yelling at the Tesla driver. Eventually, a transit officer showed up to de-escalate the situation. The submitter shared a copy of his Teslacam footage with the other Tesla owner, and they haven't heard anything else about the incident. Francesco was driving his Model 3 on a highway in Italy. He'd just entered a tunnel when traffic slowed down for construction up ahead. As he was about to come to a stop, he felt a solid impact from behind. The driver of the Range Rover that had been following behind him hadn't noticed traffic slowing down and crashed into him at full speed. The Tesla was pushed forward into the car in front of it. That car then crashed into the car in front of it, turning this into a massive multi-vehicle accident. Luckily, everyone involved was able to walk away from the accident unharmed. The Italian Highway Patrol responded to the scene. While waiting for the tow truck to arrive, Francesco showed the officers his Teslacam footage right on his Tesla's screen. The footage clearly showed them he wasn't responsible for hitting the car in front of him. He sent them a copy of the video, and they included some screenshots from it in their official report. The police station called later that day asking if he'd installed the cameras himself. They were enthusiastic to find out that there's standard equipment on all current Teslas. Thanks to the Teslacam footage, Francesco was cleared of any fault in the accident. His Tesla has been repaired by an Italian Tesla-authorized body shop, and the repair bill was about $35,000 US. Francesco says the body shop did an excellent job, but the car was stuck in the shop for almost 5 months waiting on replacement parts from Tesla. Now, he's still dealing with the insurance claim process. Hugo was driving his Model S down the highway in Merida, Mexico. A police pickup truck was speeding up behind him with lights on, but without any siren. As traffic started to pile up in front of them, the cop moved over to the left lane behind Hugo. Hugo had nowhere to go since another car was moving into the lane on his right. When Hugo braked for traffic, the police truck rear-ended him. Thankfully, the police officer immediately took responsibility. Hugo thinks the officer might have been checking his blind spot before attempting to overtake him at the moment that Hugo braked. This caused him to hit the rear end of Hugo's Tesla without even attempting to stop. Hugo was devastated when this happened since he'd waited a long time to take delivery of the car, and he'd only been behind the wheel for a couple of months. By that, I mean he'd literally only been behind any steering wheel at all for a couple of months. Hugo is only 16 years old. He had his driver's permit, which the police checked very thoroughly. They filed an insurance claim, and Hugo is waiting to hear how long the repairs will take and how much they will cost. He's just glad he had video footage to prove what happened. Mark had just taken delivery of his Model 3 and was heading to the service center for some small adjustments when a Ford proceeded to pull out in front of him. Mark took his foot off the juice pedal to slow down, and just as the car in the left lane passed him, he saw that the Ford wasn't staying in its lane, crossing into the left lane instead. The passing car clipped the front wheel of the SUV and flipped into the median. Luckily, everyone involved in the accident ended up being okay. Debris rained all over Mark's brand new Tesla, but fortunately, it didn't cause any damage. Mark pulled over to call 911, and the police used his Teslacam footage as evidence in the accident report. Alex was driving his Model Y on a freeway in Los Angeles, California, when a BMW X5 dove out in front of him. The driver of the BMW lost control, spun out, and crashed into the car in front of Alex. The BMW then took off, turning the accident into a hit and run. After stopping, Alex called 911, and the California Highway Patrol was quick to respond to the scene of the accident. After viewing Alex's Teslacam footage, the CHP saw that the BMW driver had waited too long to merge, finally just going for it. At least he'd used his turn signal. Thanks to Teslacam, the BMW driver was caught and charged with felony hit and run. The victim was very grateful for Alex's footage. The CHP later informed Alex that the victim had made a full recovery. Thank God for Teslacam. Diva was driving his Model 3 in Mississauga, Ontario. Just as he entered an intersection on a green light, he felt an impact. A Jeep driver had taken an exit off of Highway 407 and just kept on driving through a red light, crashing into the Tesla. Diva was uninjured, so he jumped out of his car and rushed over to the driver of the Jeep and asked him, "Are you okay?" The Jeep driver confirmed he was fine, and they agreed that they should call emergency services. When they did, the police refused to come to the scene of the accident since nobody was hurt. When Diva got home, he filed an insurance report, including his Teslacam footage. The other driver accepted full responsibility, and his insurance provider agreed to pay for the damage. Unfortunately, here's where Diva's story takes a turn for the worse. Repairs for the Tesla will cost $35,000 US. Since the vehicle is worth more now than it was when it was originally sold, Tesla is asking Diva to cover $8,000 of the repairs out of his own pocket, since the insurance company only wants to pay for the original value of the vehicle. Diva asked his own insurance provider if they'd cover the $8,000, but they refused, calling this deal a personal agreement between him and Tesla. Diva still doesn't understand why he's being held responsible for the difference. Honestly, I'm pretty confused myself. Can anyone explain exactly what's going on here? Let us know in a comment. This submitter was driving his Model 3 in Queensland, Australia. He slowed down for traffic, but the girl behind him was only paying attention to her phone. She rear-ended him at full speed. The submitter thinks she must have been driving around 80 kilometers per hour, about 50 miles per hour, since that was the posted speed limit in that area. And it doesn't look like she applied the brakes at all. The submitter saw her coming in his rearview mirror, and we can see he tried accelerating away before impact, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Thankfully, nobody involved was injured. Mario was waiting to turn left in an intersection when the light turned red. After making sure there was no oncoming traffic, he slowed down and took the turn. As he made the turn, another driver ran his red light and hit the front end of Mario's Model S. Luckily, nobody involved was injured. Mario estimates that the oncoming car was probably going about 40 miles per hour when it hit him head-on. He's amazed and thankful that he was able to walk away from the accident. Mario's insurance provider told him that if not for the Teslacam footage, he would have been considered at fault since he was turning and the other driver was going straight. His Tesla was totaled and his insurance provider found that the other driver was at fault. Mario is understandably grateful that he wasn't declared liable for the accident, and he told his insurance rep, "Thank God for Teslacam." Joseph was driving his Model Y in Austin, Texas when traffic stopped fairly quickly for a dog in the road. Joseph came to a complete stop, and when he noticed a pickup coming up behind him, he moved up a bit to give it some more room. Both vehicles managed to stop completely, but the Texas Disposal Service garbage truck didn't. It plowed into the pickup truck, which was then pushed into Joseph's Tesla. Clearly, the driver hadn't been paying attention as he crashed into them at full speed. Thankfully, nobody was in the oncoming lane at the time, or else they would have collided head-on with the garbage truck. There were no serious injuries, and everyone involved walked away. Joseph's two 75-pound Pyrodoodles were in the back of his Model Y, and they'd been thrown against the back of the driver's seat. They were quite shaken up, but they felt better after Joseph let them out to walk around. There were no passengers in the pickup truck, but the driver was transporting two vintage mopeds which had been damaged. The truck collapsed like an accordion thanks to the force of the impact, since the garbage truck driver said his truck was almost fully loaded. Obviously, all the fault lies with the garbage truck driver, and the pickup driver and Joseph weren't at fault. Joseph is now waiting to hear his repair estimate. Michael was driving his Model 3 in Chino, California. While exiting State Route 71, a big rig flipped over in front of him. Michael told us this happens all the time on the ramps at this exit. It's a rather sharp turn, and the trucks usually come in way too fast from the off-ramp if the traffic light is green. Luckily, it wasn't in the left lane with a car on the right. That wouldn't have been a good story to tell. Some city construction workers rushed over to help the driver escape his overturned truck. The driver seems fine based on the footage captured by Michael's passenger side camera. Yang was on his way to his friend's house in Shenzhen, China. He wanted to pass a semi-truck on his left, but was waiting for the right moment so he wouldn't get stuck in the semi's blind spot. As soon as he saw an opportunity to clear the semi-truck, he accelerated. Suddenly, an on-ramp appeared that he hadn't noticed before, and he was forced to slow down for cars merging onto the highway. He proceeded to get stuck right where he didn't want to be, the semi-truck's blind spot. A moment later, the semi hit his Model 3. The semi driver admitted fault, acknowledging that he hadn't noticed Yang in his blind spot, but he blamed that on the rain. In the video, we can see that the truck driver waited until the last moment to use his turn signal, which was way too late. If he'd used his signal sooner, Yang thinks this accident could have been avoided. The repair shop informed Yang that his left quarter panel couldn't be repaired and would have to be replaced. They'd have to order a new part from the Shanghai factory, but it's been shut down due to the recent pandemic outbreak in Shanghai. Now, he'll have to wait a couple of months to get a new quarter panel. Total repair costs came to $4,500 US. Always use your turn signal and use it before changing lanes, not during the lane change. Ash was driving their Model 3 in Orange County, California. They just dropped off their mother at the airport and were on their way home. A white car turned onto the street just as Ash was passing, so Ash moved to the left a bit as the other driver crossed into their lane. This annoyed Ash since they were driving just under 45 miles per hour because of the car in front, so the white car was probably going at least 60 miles per hour when it sped into the intersection. As the white car sped through the intersection, a silver car on the other side of the road made an unprotected left turn. They must have misjudged the speed of the white car, crashing into them. The white car got pushed into a tree by the impact. We can even see the leaves shake from the hit. The car then spun around before it finally stopped. Ash pulled over, and when the police arrived, an officer sat in their car and watched the Teslacam footage, filming it with his body cam. Alex was driving his Model Y in Miami, Florida when he hydroplaned before wrecking on the highway. Alex thinks the water flying off the tires of the truck in the next lane caused his car to spin out. Luckily, he wasn't injured in the crash. Alex called the police 3 times within an hour, and it took a trooper a little over an hour to arrive. 2 troopers actually passed on the opposite side of the highway a few seconds after the crash, but they didn't report the accident or stop to help. Alex doesn't have a repair bill yet since the insurance company is still working on an estimate with a repair shop. Camille was sitting at a red light in Manor, Texas when a Prius ran a red light, hitting a Honda and bumping it into his Model 3. It was quite the crash, with the Honda getting some hang time, but incredibly, nobody was hurt in the accident. Camille was able to drive away with only a damaged front bumper cover, hood, and a crack in his glass roof. But his story doesn't end there. Ralph was driving his Model 3 on the Long Island Expressway in New York City when a tire flew off a school bus on the opposite side of the road. The tire bounced over the median and over Ralph's Tesla before smashing into the Honda behind him. In slow motion, we can see how the bus jumped a little when the tire popped off. The tire rolled toward the median, got some hang time, and bounced on top of the median before crashing down behind Ralph. Ralph stopped and rushed over to the driver of the Honda to make sure everyone was okay, and luckily, nobody was hurt. He exchanged phone numbers with the driver of the Honda so he could send them a copy of his Teslacam footage for their insurance claim. Vic was driving his Model 3 with autopilot engaged in Springfield, Virginia. Autopilot merged to the left to put Vic in one of the 3 lanes heading toward I-395 North. Autopilot slowly started to overtake a semi-truck on Vic's left that was driving a little under the speed limit. Right then, the truck driver decided to move over 1 lane, merging into the lane where Vic was driving. The driver used his turn signal, but Vic didn't notice because the truck was in his blind spot. Unfortunately, Vic was also in the truck driver's blind spot. The truck hit his Tesla, and Vic says Autopilot didn't react to avoid the collision, but Autopilot did sound an alarm when the impact occurred, which alerted him to quickly take over and save the car from spinning out. Vic showed his Teslacam footage to the state trooper that responded to the accident, proving that Vic had been in his own lane the entire time and that the truck had crashed into him. The truck driver was found to be at fault and received a citation. The repair estimate for the Tesla was $9,800 US. Luckily, the Teslacam footage made the insurance process simple. Vic has been told it'll take up to a month to receive replacement parts due to supply shortages. Nir was driving his 1-month-old Model Y in Folsom, California. As he approached an intersection, he noticed a Toyota that seemed like it wasn't going to stop. As soon as Nir realized that the Toyota was indeed not going to stop, he tried to speed up and move over, but he couldn't dodge it in time, and the Toyota T-boned his Tesla. Thanks to the Tesla's strong build, Nir and his wife weren't injured at all. The Toyota's airbags deployed, and it took heavy damage from the impact. The Toyota's front bumper and hood took a lot of damage, as we can see in the side cam footage. After the impact, the Toyota's license plate became stuck in the side of the Model Y. Both the responding police officer and the insurance adjuster were impressed with the Teslacam footage and concluded that the Toyota driver was at fault. It took over 2 months for repairs to be completed. Can you guess the total repair cost to fix the Model Y? Put your guess in the comments, and we'll tell you the total at the end of this video. No cheating. Abdul was driving his Model Y westbound on I-4 in Orlando, Florida. Autopilot was engaged when all of a sudden a car moving at 70 miles per hour headed right toward him. Autopilot blared an alarm as soon as the car in front of him braked, and Abdul quickly took over and swerved. He didn't know which way he should go to escape in this high-stakes game of chicken. He swerved to the left to avoid a head-on collision, but the car hit the side of his Tesla, sending it into the barrier before sliding across all 4 lanes to the other side of the highway. The police arrived about a minute later since they'd already been chasing the wrong-way driver after receiving multiple calls about him. The cops had to shut down the highway while the intoxicated wrong-way driver was arrested and taken away. Abdul filed an insurance claim, and his insurance provider quickly determined his Tesla was a total loss. He's ordered a new one with the same specifications, and he's expecting delivery between October 2022 and January 2023. This clip was sent in by an airline pilot who had just finished his shift and was driving home from the Los Angeles airport on a Friday night. The driver of the Nissan in front of him dove for an exit a little too late, hit a barrier, and flew into the side of the submitter's Model 3. The 23-year-old female driver of the Nissan claimed in her statement that she was driving home from a bar, but she assured the California Highway Patrol that she'd only had 2 beers. Her disabled vehicle caused a pileup behind them involving several other vehicles, including a motorcycle. In her statement, she lied about what had happened, having no idea that the incident had been captured on video or even that she'd hit the Tesla at all. After the CHP reviewed the Teslacam footage, she was immediately arrested for felony DUI and eventually pled guilty. Amazingly, the submitter was unhurt, but others weren't so lucky. The Tesla was deemed a total loss, and it took 10 weeks for the submitter to get a replacement. He thinks the B-pillar probably saved his life, and he has no idea how he didn't lose control of the car. Despite accepting liability, the Nissan driver's insurance company Geico still hasn't offered settlements to any of those involved, and it's been almost a year since the accident. Austin had lent his Model 3 to his friend Missy, who was driving it on the highway in Columbia, South Carolina. Traffic suddenly came to a complete stop, and autopilot immediately activated the automatic emergency braking and sounded the forward collision warning. Up ahead, cars were swerving all over the road trying to stop in time. The driver of a Jeep even headed out into a field in order to avoid an accident. Unfortunately, a driver behind Missy wasn't paying attention and evidently didn't have any forward collision avoidance system. They rear-ended the pickup truck directly behind her at full speed. We searched news and public records for information about the accident, but nothing was reported, which hopefully means nobody was seriously injured. Hey guys, if you can see that red subscribe button, that means you're not subscribed to the Wham Bam channel yet. It would mean the world to us if you would do that, so please hit that subscribe button. Thanks!